Hello, everybody. Welcome to Goblin Cave TV. Welcome in, everybody. Um, you know who I am, but today we've got a guest. We've got Rule Lords 2E, or Rise of the Rule Lords. Today we're talking about Beginner Box Day, Pathfinder
Yes.
2E Beginner Box Day. What is it? When is it? What is it all about? What are you doing? We'll start with what is Beginner Box Day.
Yeah. So Beginner Box Day is the continuation of something that we've been doing at the Pathfinder uh, 2E subreddit for a grand total of 1 year now. This is our second year getting to put it on, and this time we are doing it for a full week from April 22nd to the 30th. What it is it's a whole week where players who are curious about trying Pathfinder Second Edition, whether you are a new player, whether you are a D&D player who just wants to expand their repertoire, whether you're completely new to TTRPGs, or if you have the core rule book and you've just never gotten to play a game, doesn't matter. If you want to try out Pathfinder Second Edition, Beginner Box Day is going to be a week where you get to connect with other players, experienced GMs, and get to play both the upper and lower level of the beginner box. Uh, the beginner box, for those of you who are completely brand new to it, oh, you got one! Yeah, that's the physical version of it. But they come in all shapes and sizes now. Well, specifically the online versions. There's ones for Foundry, there's ones for Fantasy Grounds, and there's one for Roll20. And those are just the ones that I know about, as well as the physical beginner box that Paizo sells. Um, it is a fantastic introduction into the system. They give you pre-generated characters. If you don't want to have to go through character creation and you just want to try the rule system all by itself, um, leads you through an adventure that slowly introduces you to each and every important concept important to playing in Pathfinder, from combat to social encounters to even puzzles. And then you go through this adventure progressively, putting the skills that you've learned to work until you get to a big climactic fight where you are in a dungeon and you get to battle a. Shh, it's a secret. You'll find out if you actually get to play the beginner box at the end. So this is a great opportunity. It is completely free for anyone to join and participate. We are working to try to get GMs special perks for running during the week. Last year, we had 66 GMs who volunteered to run over the course of just a weekend. And so for a full week, I'm really hoping maybe we can up that number to an even 100, if not more. Um, and then also have that many sessions of both the upper and lower. So that's potentially up to 200 tables of people playing the beginner box, getting to experience Pathfinder maybe for the first time ever, and getting an introduction to what a wonderful system this is.
Why you've done that spiel before, that's clearly shown there, because you've answered pretty much all the questions I was going to ask. Well, you answered quite a lot of the questions I was going to. First one is, do you have to, is it online? And obviously it seems
Yes,
like it is an online game.
it is online. One of the things that we have been working with is with the website RPG Chronicles. Those of you who do Pathfinder Society might be very familiar with RPG Chronicles because they are a fantastic website to do online chronicling of all the rewards that you get through Pathfinder Society. Super easy way to make chronicle sheets, get those points documented so that you can use them for your future games.
I just want to point out, for those
Yeah,
unfamiliar with Pathfinder Society, you may have heard of Adventurers League, similar in nature. It's a community, yeah,
with D&D,
community
yeah.
play, yes.
Society's better. But we asked them to essentially completely remake their website for us, and they have done so
Wow.
to great effect. Um, because I found that their method of signing up, using like slots, GMs could determine how many people got to play in their thing, and then it was simply a matter of putting your own information into these boxes. It was by far the easiest sign up method that I saw for signing up for games at the time, and I loved that. What they did for us in addition was they made it so that there's a dashboard that will be going live on April 1st with every single game that's available and showing up in your time zone. So that means you don't have to look at the time and try to figure out, if you're in Australia like you are, um, you don't have to try to figure out, what is the time conversion to Pacific Standard Time or Greenwich Mean Time or whatever. It's just going to show up in your local time zone. So you're going to be able to see, like, oh, hey, there's a game that some kook in America is running at 2 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time, which happens to be my, afternoon in Australia. That's a perfect time for me to play. And you'll get to join that adventure if you sign up for that slot. So it is completely virtual. I do hope people will, you know, run their own beginner boxes at your friendly local game stores. That would be awesome. And if you do, make sure to, tell us on Twitter. But we can't help organize those necessarily. That's
Or
a little,
if you are a game store owner, maybe
yes.
contact you and go, hey, we're doing this too. And as I said, you can't really help, but it's a more of a like bringing a bigger audience and
Yes.
a more global audience, or more,
If
yeah,
if
more face
there
to face in some case. Yeah,
if we can find a way to incorporate friendly local game stores, I'm 100% for that. Though in our capacity, we are organizing it to be online, so a worldwide community can join and play wherever you are, as long as the times that the game masters have available meets up with your availability to play. And having it be over a full week, I'm really hopeful that we can get a lot of game masters in a lot of different time zones able to run a lot of different groups. And I'm really hopeful that there's enough players out there, especially now with the super increased uh, uh, desire to
enthusiasm.
play Pathfinder. Yeah, enthusiasm with core rulebooks sold out worldwide. Hopefully, it sounds like the new printing is going to be shipped out in April, and we'll find out how long those stay on shelves too. Um, but there's clearly a hunger to play Pathfinder, to try it, and we want to give people that avenue to do it with Beginner Box Day.
Yeah.
And online is one of the more popular methods nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's how we'll be connecting people, is through this sheet on RPG Chronicles, so that it works for you and it works for your GM.
Couple of things. Our channel here, we do a lot of we do everything online. So the whole time zones thing, we know enough about that one. It's a whole thing.
Yep.
But do you need a video, like a video camera webcam, to join the games?
No. In fact, there's going to be probably some games that are play by post, even where you don't have to have cameras or voice at all.
Wow, I feel old enough to know what that is.
Those games still happen and people enjoy them. So like all the better for it. Um, how our platform is going to work is that uh, we are hosting the audio video portion on the R Pathfinder 2e Discord channel. We have long had a mechanism for people to do public play on there. We have a specific channel called Here Be Dragons. All that a game master has to do is click that, and it'll create their own room that all of their players can join in on the day of. We're also setting up spaces, tech spaces, in the beginner box channel on the Discord so that you can connect early with your game master to get all of the game details, the invitation to the VTT link, virtual tabletop link, set up your character, find out if there are any character boundaries that the GM wants to have. Some GMs, might just want to have you run with the pre-generated characters. Some of them might say go wild and make rare ancestries and choose crazy combinations for your classes. Who knows? It just depends on the GM and what they're willing to do. We just want to provide that avenue. Yeah, facilitate that. And so it's free for you to join our Pathfinder 2e Discord. You don't have to stay on there if you don't want to, though it is a great community. We hope that you'll stay online afterwards on the R Pathfinder 2e subreddit. But that's our main method of getting people together is on our Discord channel.
Yeah, gotcha. And you mentioned characters. So how big are the games going to be? Because there is a limit to the pre-made characters.
Yes. So every beginner box is made for level 1. The pre-made characters in the beginner box are extremely simplified versions of it, but might be of interest to know that there are 2 versions of the pre-generated characters. There's the beginner box version of the pre-generated characters, and then there are the pre-generated characters that go all the way up to the advanced player's guide that have a little bit more abilities, more items, a little bit more advanced, that are typically used for Pathfinder Society games. When you show up to a table and you don't have a character made, you just get to use a pre-generated character. But those are all standard in every Foundry VTT, at least. And yep, those are what the physical ones would look like if you were playing the physical beginner box. Very straightforward, very easy to learn. Those come in the Foundry version, I know for sure. I haven't played on the Roll20 or the Fantasy Grounds.
They are certainly in the Roll20 I'm looking at now.
Excellent. I would hope so, and I hope that they're in the Fantasy Grounds version too. But those pre-generated characters are available for you to play as. But if your GM is able and willing and gets their stuff set up ahead enough for you, you can make your own level 1 character. It works for any class, any ancestry. It's just a matter of what you as a player who are new to the system are comfortable with. There's a pretty great guide on the Pathfinder 2e subreddit showing the level of introductory difficulty some classes are. So for example, the Thaumaturge is maybe not one first time beginner might want to play, but a Ranger, absolutely. Fighter, absolutely. Probably, it's a very, I don't want to say basic. It's super fun, but it's very straightforward. Let's say that. Fighter is very straightforward.
I would say
you go and you hit things.
from someone that runs a lot of beginner boxes on the channel, we've done a few, and I've had a look at a lot recently. Having a very clear, this is what I am, and this is how to play, is what a fighter would be, what a thief would be, a wizard. We recently played and we still are actually, the AD&D second edition beginner box called Introduction to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it has an audio CD involved with it, and the joke in there is like, I'm going to play the cleric, whatever that is, because this is back in 1996 where a cleric, like, what was a cleric? I don't know what a cleric is. So we've been joking with that. So having a very clear class, like those four, like it is fighter, wizard, thief, or rogue, sorry, and what I missed.
That's it in the beginner box, at least. The other pre-gens include everything in the core rulebook, including champion, alchemist, barbarian, as well as the advanced player guides, investigator, swashbuckler, oracle, and witch. So
I do have to ask, which alchemist? Is it the goblin alchemist?
Yeah, Fumbus.
I knew there was a human one initially, and then there was Fumbus that came after.
Yep, they're all the 2E versions of the iconics. So those pre-generated characters are available for you. The part about the pre-generated characters that's great is that you don't have to get too in the weeds with character creation. Character creation is, I've often heard said, like, one of the most fun parts of the game. It's almost chronically fun because people create so many weird and wild character concepts that they have more in their Path Builder archive than they'll ever get to actually play. But it can be a bit of a daunting part for people who are brand new to the system. It's something you want to be able to spend time with, come up with a clear character concept, and really dig down into the choices that you're selecting. A pre-gen character makes all of those choices for you so that you're ready to go. All you have to do is read the stats that are already there written for you. The math is all worked out for you. So then you can just pick it up and go. The drawback to that, obviously, is that these were not choices that you made. They're choices that someone else made. So you kind of have to go with the flow of what is on the character sheet. That said, the options on the character sheet are not bad ones. They are very much in line with the core concept of that class, because that's what they're made for, is to be the archetype of that class, the best or the most cleric-y cleric that you can have, the most fightery fighter that you could play.
The most generic.
Exactly.
Most stereotypical, yes, this is what this is, yes.
Yeah. So they're going to be fun options, but both of those options are there for you, depending on how in-depth you want to go. Now, if you have the physical version of the beginner box, the cool part is that they come with character sheets for you, all blank. If you want to dig one of those out.
Reopening.
That has nice color coding to show you like where you would put a particular stat, how to add it up. Yep. It even shows the dice types next to you, which inside the physical box, has color-coded dice. So the GM would be able to say, roll a d20, and you're like, which one's a d20? Oh, it's the red one. Roll a 1d4. What's a d4? It's the yellow one. It's super, super friendly to new players, which is exactly what the beginner box is for. It's made for people brand new to the game to just pick up and go.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to say. You mentioned both levels.
Yes.
So, without getting to both levels, how long? And the reason why there's two levels, how long do you expect a game to run?
Sure. So there are two levels, which are not levels of character, though you do level up mid one. There is the upper level. The upper level is the more beginner-friendly version of it. It's the top section of the dungeon that you delve into, which is much more friendly for brand new people. Very slowly introduces new concepts to you in fun and engaging ways with the encounters that they set up for you, the challenges that they make for you. It is the one that you're playing if you're going to be brand new to the system. Then there's the lower level. The lower level is a little bit more advanced. The challenges are a bit harder. You're going to be combining skills with your combat actions. You're going to be doing more outside of combat than just moving or percepting. There's going to be times where you need to make choices without ever looking at your character sheet at all. And that's going to get you more into what a normal game of Pathfinder is going to feel like. Both levels
I'll also say,
are...
sorry, as just the second level also has I wouldn't say advanced rules, but a little bit more complex rules like burning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Persistent damage.
Persistent damage,
for sure.
Yeah.
And very much a need to use a more tactical mindset than just going in and hitting things.
Yeah. We TPK'd in one of our games.
It can happen. The beginner box, it's made for beginners, but it doesn't always pull all of its punches. But that said, both levels are made to be approximately 4 hours, just like most single adventures made for Pathfinder 2nd Edition are made for four players, balanced for 4 players, and run about 4 hours. So that is a total of 8 hours of gameplay that most people could do if they're going to play both versions. We're really hoping that Game Masters will separate the days that they run the upper and the lower if they're going to run both, so that the same group who liked you as a GM on Tuesday could get to play the lower level with you on Thursday, perhaps.
And maybe wait the start of the week, hopefully, with more of level 1, and wait the end of the week with more level 2, so you can maybe get, even if it's different GMs, at least get the full 1 to 2 in both sections.
You can absolutely play with different GMs. We're hopeful that you can pair up with your original GM or the first GM if you are going to play both levels. You might opt to just play one, or you might just opt to play the other. It's completely up to you. You don't have to have played the first level in order to play the second. If you think that you have a good handle on the basics of rules and you just want to kind of get more into the nitty-gritty level of play, you might just skip down to the lower level and join a group of people that you haven't played with before, or there might be a bunch of other players just like you who are like, I don't really need to do the first level. I'm just going to try to fight the big bad in the second level.
Yeah.
So there's that level of option for you as well, is you can play both levels, one level, and hopefully mix and match GMs, even have the exact same group if you're really lucky.
Or if you sign up at the same time and organize yourselves. I will say this, having run it twice, and I would say that you might have run it fair more than I have. The beginner box for Pathfinder, from the GM's perspective, is actually really good. I had been running Pathfinder for 6 months, as in Pathfinder 2E for 6 months, maybe even more, before running this. We
Yes.
ran it live for one group of new players, and we ran it offline at the same period for another group who now do our long-term Pathfinder 2 game. And I was really annoyed that the damn thing taught me how to GM Pathfinder 2. Rules which I'd been gotten wrong the entire time, because I thought, oh yeah, I know this. But no, it actually teaches the GM. So I would also suggest, it's not a part of this, but if you have the option to run it for your friends, it's really good. So even if you come through this and play it yourself, get yourself a copy and try to run it for your friends to get the GM's perspective, and maybe all your other friends which may not have been able to be part of this can get into this as well, because it's really good for GMs for going step by step, as well as for the players. Like room by room is what it got me. I think the first room you learn how to dive past people in combat. So it's a room by then there's climbing. And so every room gives you this new, different idea. These small little mechanics which just build over time. And then when you get to the second level, those mechanics should be, okay, I know all this. Then you get more complex ones, like the damage over time, like burning or bleeding and persistent damage. That's what TPK'd us, one of the groups. And
Yep.
There was an option.
It can be a killer.
And they were also unfortunate. They were really unfortunate at the time. But, yeah.
I would say that if you are, I know that I said this is a time for experienced GMs to get in contact with new players. But if you are one of those rare, exceptional, attractive players who feels like taking up the GM mantle, but never have before. You've been a Pathfinder player, and you've just never been on the other side of the screen. The beginner box is a tremendous opportunity to dip your toes into it, because, like you said, Karsh, the stuff that the beginner box has is great for teaching GMs. We're running this mostly for players, but this is much as of a GM event as is a player event. You learn everything that you need to about running monsters, running hazards, doing effective skill challenges, how to come up with DCs and distribute treasure. It is a perfect introduction into being on that side of the screen and dipping your toes into a role that for many people seems unobtainable for some reason, seems like a really scary thing to start doing. I personally fell in love with being a GM. I am a forever GM by choice. I love
You're one of those rare choosing to GM. Wow.
I prefer to run a game rather than play. I mean, they're absolutely. I will sit down for like a one-off thing. I don't know if at this point I would be able to sit down as a player for a full campaign. I think I would be too much like, but I want to run this. I want to run this encounter. I want to be the one doing X, Y, and Z. GMing is super fun. It is not as intimidating as many people might think that it is, especially not in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And the beginner's box is a great place to discover that love of GMing. And trust me, I think that once you give it a try, you will find that you like doing it.
And as I said, it teaches you that as well. Like, it doesn't just teach the players, like room by room. It teaches the GM in the text of what to do, how to, almost how to craft what you're saying, and how to get it out. Yeah.
And a very cool thing that I only recently discovered myself. If you are someone who, for whatever reason, can't find a good time to play during beginner box day, your schedule is just too busy, you're just such an important person. You can't find any time away. Um, the beginner box actually has a solo adventure, which I kind of blew my mind. You can do it both in the physical version of the beginner box. It's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. But, and at least again in the Foundry VTT version, I'm sure it's incorporated in the other ones, but in the Foundry version, it has a module setting so that you can play the beginner adventure all by yourself.
The Pirate King's Plunder solo adventure is also in Roll20. Yeah.
Yes. So that's an option as well. While beginner box week or beginner box days is a chance for you to play with a new group, get to actually have the tabletop role-playing experience. You can get into Pathfinder completely on your own through the beginner box, through that adventure with Pirate King Plunder.
I really enjoy solo games. Like it's strange that we're a channel which we do actual plays and whatnot, but personally, I really enjoy the choose your adventure style of the solo games because it's your decisions and you can learn a system. For a while now, I've enjoyed the Chaosium's versions from Call of Cthulhu. RuneQuest also, the beginner box has a solo adventure called Solo Quest. Although that one has a battle rating at the end, so you can compare your results, your battle rating at the end of the quest against other people. And I really liked that style because for us as a group, when we ran that, we ran RuneQuest for the first time, the beginning box at least, we gave that to the players as homework because it has that learning of the system, learning of the world, which is really nice to have. And we could compare notes, compare our battle rating at the end. So even if you can like jump in and play that, that's really fun. Of doing the Pirate King's Plunder. Did I get that right? Yeah. Pirate King's Plunder. I think they're awesome. I think that more games need to have them in their beginner boxes. It's something that I find lacking because it's good for the GM to go, okay, I'll do this first, get my toes wet, then I'll start, I'll learn some of the rules maybe, then start moving into reading the rules and reading the scenario. And that can kind of work as a nice toast, and you can give it to players as again homework.
And it's a foreign concept to me. I've only recently started to hear about like dedicated solo play TTRPGs, and it blows my mind a little bit because I've only ever thought those could exist in the form of like, video games, or, have to have some kind of electronic interface. But there are absolutely pen and pencil ways to have solo adventures. I need to pick one up at some point. We have.
I know it's not. I know it's not Paizo, not Pathfinder, but I can highly recommend the Chaosium ones for Call of Cthulhu. Like these are ones where you need to have a pen and paper and track stats and track dates, and like you need to make sure that like your ship leaves at this time, so you've got 3 days to do things, and you need to be there for your ship before it leaves to go to the next day. Like they're amazingly done, and like huge, massive books on like just a solo adventure, and they like. If you stop over a roll, you're gone because it's Call of Cthulhu. But when we played it live a few years ago, we were having chat do the answers for us. So it was every question was a vote, every option was a vote for chat. And one of the people in chat said, "You can't spend your luck points if you're dead, if your character's dead. So just spend your luck points, pass the roll." I'm like,
yes,
okay, sure.
I guess that's an important mechanic to make sure is mentioned for the beginner box is hero points, because that I don't think was necessarily introduced at the start, but they're there for you. Hero points are Pathfinder's interesting mechanic of you get to use a hero point and you get to make either a single reroll, or you can save yourself from dying. They're a really interesting mechanic. I know there's D&D people who might be like, "Well, advantage is better." Try hero points. They are much more rewarding because they give agency to the player.
And an advantage won't save the character from certain death.
Yes, exactly. Hero points do truly give you that feeling of having heroic moments, where you are in control of getting to feel like you made a difference in the game. And sometimes they backfire. Sometimes you roll a 1 and you're like, I'm going to redo this. And then you roll a 2, or you rolled a 3 and then you get a worse result. Those things can happen too. It's a reroll. It's not a guaranteed, success.
Are hero points in the beginner box? Is it
not physical ones? And that's the only thing I think GMs kind of have to take it upon themselves to add, is that hero points aren't necessarily introduced naturally in the game, in the beginner box, through one of the combats or something. They'll if you're reading the actual things, it'll be like, and this would be a good time to give out a hero point.
Okay.
So you just need to make sure that you as a GM, whether you're new or experienced, are introducing this concept to players.
Okay. I it's been a while since I've ran it, so I'm just like, wait, they're in there? So that's, yeah. We use hero points very differently on the channel, very differently. So if you're unfamiliar with the channel, we have chat donations for hero points, and we max them out at 5, and it's only $1 for a hero point, so we don't ask for much. That's really cheap. And so it started off, you could do a monologue as well as one of the options, and no one chose it, so we just dropped it. But the way we see it as a production and as a entertainer, the more hero points our players have, the more stupid they can be. They can take the more reckless action, knowing that they've got backup of a reroll or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So we have one player. I just found a clip from the first episode from when we did Agents of Edgewatch, and the player, when we first talked about hero points on the channel and for that show, she said, I guarantee, I promise to everyone watching that I will use the hero points in the most OP way against the GM. And it was like, wait, did you just declare war on the GM?
Oh boy.
And she did 50 episodes. Whenever she had a hero point, she'd use it on the stupid actions, on just something that's entertaining. So
I always start mine by giving players 2 hero points, just because I forget to give them out throughout the game. Supposed to give one out about every hour at least, and I never do. I always forget to. So I'm like, you know what? Just start with 2, spread them out, use them wisely.
Yeah.
And they do. Once you learn about hero points and their proper application, players will use them.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of astounded when I see things on the subreddit like, how am I supposed to get players to use hero points?
Take them away.
Do they know? Do they know about them? Oh, take them away.
Secret roles as a GM for stealth. If you're the GM, this is how we do it. This is how I used to do it. A secret role, and don't tell, because the secret role, the player doesn't know what the role is. Mechanically speaking, if you're not familiar with Pathfinder, a stealth role is rolled by the GM. And then ask, do you want to use a hero point to reroll that?
I have gotten into asking, do you want to keep that role? being like, this would be a good time to use it.
I,
Maybe.
I don't say this would be a good time to use it. I just like, do you want to re-roll that? Do you want to spend a hero point? Are you sure you want that?
So
with that, I've gotten people to re-roll 20s to 1s. Evil GM.
that is evil. Getting him to reroll nat 20s. Oh my god.
And the funniest part was, like, the audience could see that it was a 20. And then the next roll was a 1. The players couldn't. The audience see my channel, like see my view.
That is evil.
Yeah, that's how I advise for, like, you just ask and push them. Like, just keep on going, hey, do you want it? Are you sure? Are you sure? You've got all these hero points. Like, that's how I do it.
Hero point pressure.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. I want to say, I think we covered pretty much everything about the beginner box. With, like, stuff that I was actually willing to ask, because your main spiel at the start was like pretty much everything. I've obviously done that. So of course I'm going to get all the links from you to put it on underneath, because this is going to be on YouTube. Because I want to try to help promote this as well. And the other options, if people go forward if people want to keep playing after doing the beginner box, I want to point out one, because I've got, again, physical, because we do everything physical here. There's also Troubles in Otari, which is the beginner box is Menace Under Otari, which is the dungeon. So there's also Troubles in Otari, which is over that. So when you come back out of there, you can continue adventure to, I think, level 5 from memory, because you hit level 3, I think, at the end of the dungeon, into the beginner box. Yeah.
Trouble in Otari is interesting because I haven't read it. I make it a habit of not reading adventures until I'm actually running them, on the off chance that I ever get to play one.
Same.
But from what I understand, Troubles in Otari is kind of like a bunch of set of quests, not necessarily a singular A to B adventure like some of the other standalone adventure modules, which makes it really good to run with the other game that combines really well with after the adventure box, which is Abomination Vaults, which is a game that I am currently running. Super fun, big classic dungeon crawl adventure where you go from level 1 to level 10. There is an extremely good version of it for VTT Foundry that comes with and Roll20.
Yeah,
excellent.
Paizo's been really good supporting the virtual tabletop communities. They've been really impressive with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the one that I play has been through Foundry. It's been fantastic because it comes with sound effects, comes with tokens already made. Sounds like the same thing happens for Roll20. I'm sure it happens for Fantasy Grounds too in their version. I just haven't played that one, so I can't speak to it.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it in Fantasy Grounds too.
Excellent.
I still get the nailing list, and they're yeah.
They do have a full adventure path that either comes in the 3 separate books like is typical, or there's now like single hardback copies, which I honestly prefer. The only thing that I couldn't convince Paizo to do is make a map pack for physical games. That would be icing on the cake to me, but I guess I just need to invest in one of those tables with a TV in it if I ever want to run it in my physical game. So that said, there's 2 great adventures that connect very easily to the beginner box immediately afterwards. I kind of wish they had made Abomination Vault start at level what is it,
Level
4?
3, 4, yeah.
Yeah. So that you could play it as a trilogy set, go right from Menace Under Otari to Troubles in Otari to Abomination Vaults.
Yeah.
But as it works right now, if you are playing Abomination Vaults, you can run Troubles in Otari at the same time by having those be alternate quests from, at the appropriate level range. So that exists for you too. But then, of course, there's Pathfinder Society. A thing about the beginner box is that everyone who plays it is eligible to get adventure points for Pathfinder Society. The way that those work is that they accumulate to your initial character creation for a new Pathfinder Society character. The way Pathfinder Society works is that you have a single character, you register with Paizo, you take them to all the different scenarios anywhere in the world, whether it's your local game store, conventions, in a different city, even at your own home table. You stack up these points, but the beginner box provides points for the character creation because there's some ancestries, class options that are unavailable without a certain amount of introductory points. The adventure that you get from the beginner box gives you those points that you can apply to that starting character. So if you're interested in going into Pathfinder Society, if you play the beginner box and actually register the points with Pathfinder Society, which RPG Chronicles makes it exceptionally easy to do, you will have those points to build up a super cool character for when you actually feel like going into a Pathfinder Society play, such as with PaizoCon. That'll be coming in May.
Soon.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, very soon. Wish it was in person, but what can you do?
We did some stuff not last year, I think, but the year before. I can't remember when we did it. Yeah.
You guys had a Australia one, right? Australia PaizoCon?
We had a PaizoCon, but it was pretty. From what I hear, it was just like a Pathfinder Society, thing. Okay. Yeah, and it conflicted with another festival. It was
another thing you had to do,
which was quite a bit bigger from memory. So I think that's pretty much everything, unless there's something else you wanted to mention, and then we can what do you do and all the other bits and pieces and promote yourself.
That's pretty much it. So if you're interested in Beginner Box Week or Beginner Box Days, trying not to use a Beginner Box Week because it has a bad initialism, but you'll figure it out.
Okay. Yep. I had to think. Yep.
So if you're interested in Beginner Box Days, go to beginpf2.com. Again, that's beginpf2.com, or the Pathfinder 2E subreddit, which is at reddit.com/r/Pathfinder2E. Both of those have links to the website. The website has all the information that you need, including direct links to the various virtual tabletops to play the beginner box with, as information about registering as a player or registering as a GM. So everything that you need is at beginpf2.com. And then also make sure that you join the R Pathfinder 2E Discord in the Beginner Box Day section. And if you give yourself the BB Box role, which we have instructions about how to do that in the Discord, you can get pinged so that if we find out about special promotions which are in the works, you can be one of the first to be notified, both about any of those, as well as when player registration officially goes live on April 1st. So one more time, beginpf2.com.
And I'm sure we'll get all the details below. Yes. When we put this onto YouTube.
And if you want to learn more about Pathfinder Second Edition, I have a podcast that I am trying desperately to get back into my original format with, but I have a number of great episodes about learning Pathfinder Second Edition, a bunch of episodes about improving your game with third-party products, because I'm a big fan of third-party products, especially for Pathfinder Second Edition. So that is another avenue for you to be able to learn. My podcast is called Rise of the Rule Lords. You can find it on any past podcasting site format, Spotify, Apple, or where you get to do the reviews. I am also on Twitter at RuleLord2E until Elon Musk completely destroys the platform.
We're still there. Well, it still survives.
Still there for now. But I'm also on TikTok at RuleLord2E. I'm on Hive and Mastodon at RuleLord2E. Basically, anywhere where you can have a username, I'm at RuleLord2E on it. So you can find me at all of those different places.
Yeah. Just also a thing, in the background, because I have to do this mention as well, in the background you might have been hearing some audio. That's from Sirenscape. They're not a sponsor of the channel. Check them out at sirenscape.com. We use them personally here for pretty much all our audio stuff, except for a couple of games recently. But this is actually the Menace Under Atari soundtrack that's been playing in the background. It's just the gentle music in the background is actually from that. If you are running the beginner box for your friends, the beginner box comes with a subscription. Well, not a subscription, but like a 30-day Sirenscape thing. This is really cool. It really, for me personally, made the beginner box so much more fun because I love audio. Mm-hmm. It's a room by room audio set, and it has narration on each room. So those box text descriptions of the rooms, voice acted by someone else, which I love.
Sirenscape does fantastic work. Yeah. And once I get my more established physical gaming space, I intend to make them a staple of combat music, of background atmosphere, because it really does improve your game. You might think, oh, just Theater of the Mind is good enough. When you have a soundtrack going on for a fight that's specifically made for a fight, you will feel the difference.
And in this case, it's for that specific room, for that specific fight.
Yes.
Which makes it even more. So I really love it myself. But yes, they do have that, and that's in the physical box. The Sirenscape, I think it's a 30-day free trial, but highly recommend it. That's what you're hearing in the background. I think that's everything. Then you have a time schedule to keep, so we won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll have this up on YouTube, and hopefully get more than 100. Hopefully, like 100. Like let's try to put up to 150. Like 200 would be amazing. And maybe in future years, again, having physical stores do like little like gaming days as well would be great, because spreading the word and just getting that enthusiasm out there would be great. Because
I hope so too. This was a fantastic event last year. It was the first ever time that we tried it, and I'm really hoping we can make it even better this year. So again, visit beginpf2.com to learn more about Beginner Box Days. And until that session of the Beginner Box, remember, don't let the rules rule you.
Oh, that's a nice off tag.
That's my outro. You like it?
I think what's my outro? My outro is if there's an option to do something stupid, that's usually more like sorry. Always choose the stupid option, because it's often more fun.
Okay.
We focus on comedy here. So sure. Thank you, everyone. We'll have this uploaded, and thank you, of course, RuleLord2E, for coming in and helping promote this is really cool for us. So thank you so much, and we'll go offline. So bye.